The glittering lights of Hollywood and the high-stakes world of the global music industry have always possessed a unique, almost ethereal power to captivate the public imagination. We watch from afar as brilliant creators, celebrated actors, and visionary musicians cross paths, forming alliances that seem destined for the storybooks. These public figures move through a landscape defined by red carpets, flashing cameras, and intense creative energy, making their personal lives a source of endless fascination for millions of onlookers worldwide. When two distinct worlds of artistic brilliance collide, the resulting romance often feels like a cinematic masterpiece unfolding in real time. For a long while, the creative synergy between a celebrated cinematic star and an elite, multi-Grammy-winning musical mastermind seemed to embody this exact kind of modern fairy tale. They represented the perfect intersection of indie pop royalty and cinematic prestige, drawing admiration not just for their individual talents, but for the beautiful, collaborative spirit they seemed to project whenever they appeared together. Before we dive deeper into the intricate layers of this captivating Hollywood story and uncover the subtle signs that started appearing behind the scenes, take a quick moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an exclusive update on your favorite stars. It is in the nature of high-profile relationships to exist under a perpetual magnifying glass, where every public appearance, every shared glance, and even the most subtle changes on social media are analyzed by dedicated followers seeking to understand the reality behind the carefully curated public image. For years, this particular couple seemed to navigate that intense spotlight with a rare grace, blending their artistic worlds in a way that felt deeply authentic and inspires countless fans. Their narrative was built on a foundation of mutual artistic respect, with the hauntingly beautiful melodies of the recording studio perfectly complementing the dramatic, emotionally raw performances captured on the silver screen. They were viewed as an unstoppable creative powerhouse, a duo whose shared life was inextricably linked with the very art they produced for the world to consume. Yet, beneath the glamorous surface of star-studded galas, exclusive industry events, and the seemingly idyllic moments captured by paparazzi on the streets of New York City, a different narrative was quietly beginning to take shape. The world of celebrity is filled with illusions, and often the most profound changes occur in the quiet spaces between the headlines, away from the roaring crowds and the brilliant flashes of the cameras. To truly understand how this artistic partnership began to experience its first quiet tremors, one must look back at the vibrant history of their initial connection, a time when everything felt effortless and filled with boundless creative promise. Their journey together began in the warm summer months of 2021, a period when the world was gradually re-emerging into the light and seeking stories of hope and genuine human connection. When they were first spotted together by eagle-eyed observers during a casual afternoon in the heart of Manhattan, the chemistry between them was undeniable. It was a classic, understated New York romance unfolding amidst the bustling energy of the city, characterized by shared laughter, quiet walks, and simple moments that contrasted sharply with their massive professional personas. The public instantly fell in love with the idea of them as a couple, seeing a profound alignment between her rising star in the acting world, known for delivering deeply moving and grounded performances, and his established status as one of the most influential sonic architects of the modern era. As the months pressed on, their bond appeared to solidify into something deeply enduring, culminating in a beautiful celebration of marriage that captured the hearts of fans and industry peers alike. For a time, their union seemed to be an unshakable anchor in the turbulent waters of the entertainment industry, a sanctuary where two fiercely independent creators could find solace and understanding in each other's talents. They became fixtures at major industry events, walking hand-in-hand down the red carpets of the world's most prestigious awards ceremonies, embodying a picture-perfect vision of modern artistic romance. However, the very nature of a life lived in the public eye means that even the slightest shift in momentum can signal a deeper change in direction. The intricate dance of balancing two demanding, high-profile careers while trying to maintain the sacred intimacy of a marriage is a challenge that few can truly comprehend. It requires a constant, delicate negotiation of time, space, and emotional energy, all while the outside world watches and waits for any sign of vulnerability. As the initial euphoria of their public union began to settle into the routine of daily life, the subtle complexities of merging two highly particular, intensely creative worlds started to manifest in ways that only those closest to them could perceive. The public, still enamored by the romance, remained largely unaware of the quiet shifts occurring behind closed doors, focusing instead on the couple's continued individual successes and occasional joint appearances. It is a reminder that the stories we tell about celebrities are often just fragments of a much larger, far more complicated reality, one that is shaped by human frailty, changing perspectives, and the inevitable friction that arises when two strong-willed individuals attempt to forge a single path forward together. The first real inkling that something might be amiss did not arrive with a loud, dramatic announcement or a sudden public dispute, but rather through a series of quiet, almost imperceptible alterations in their established patterns. In the modern digital age where a celebrity's online presence is often curated with the utmost care, even the smallest modification to a profile or a playlist can speak volumes to a dedicated and observant audience. Fans who had closely followed the couple's journey began to notice a curious cooling of the digital warmth that had previously characterized their relationship. There were no overt declarations of trouble, no public statements to suggest a rift, yet the careful observer could sense a distinct shift in the atmosphere. The vibrant, shared narrative that had once seemed so seamless was beginning to show subtle, microscopic fractures, leaving those who cared about the couple to wonder what might be happening beneath the surface of their public lives. This sense of growing intrigue only deepened as the months rolled by and major industry events came and went without the expected joint appearances that had once been a staple of their public calendar. The creative world continued to spin, awards were handed out, and new projects were launched, but the familiar sight of the actress and the musician standing side by side became increasingly rare. This subtle withdrawal from the shared spotlight sparked a quiet wave of speculation among insiders and fans alike, a growing curiosity about the state of a marriage that had once seemed so utterly secure. It is within this quiet space of uncertainty and growing intrigue that the true complexity of their situation began to crystallize, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of the challenges they faced and the inevitable realization that even the most beautiful partnerships can sometimes encounter insurmountable obstacles. As the quiet speculation surrounding the state of their union began to ripple through the entertainment community, the subtle clues that had been accumulating over the months finally began to coalesce into a clearer, more troubling picture. In the world of high-profile celebrity tracking, the absence of a partner at a major, career-defining event is often the first definitive signal that the structural integrity of a marriage is facing severe internal pressure. This reality became starkly apparent during one of the most highly anticipated social gatherings of the year, an exclusive event that drew the absolute pinnacle of music, sports, and entertainment royalty. When the celebrated music producer arrived at this massive celebration completely solo, it sent shockwaves through the crowd of onlookers and journalists who had grown accustomed to seeing the couple move through the world as an inseparable unit. His solitary walk into the venue, surrounded by some of the biggest names in global pop culture, spoke far louder than any official press release ever could. The sight of him navigating the star-studded environment without his wife by his side immediately transformed the quiet whispers of the previous months into a loud, undeniable roar of public curiosity. It was a moment of profound vulnerability played out on a global stage, confirming to many that the private struggles they had managed to keep hidden for so long were finally breaching the surface of their carefully managed lives. This public solo appearance served as the catalyst for a much deeper investigation into what had actually been happening behind the closed doors of their seemingly perfect domestic life. Behind the glamorous facade of their shared artistic existence lay the harsh, unrelenting reality of daily companionship between two fiercely independent and highly particular individuals. Sources close to the situation began to whisper about the foundational challenges that had quietly plagued the marriage for a significant period, painting a picture of a relationship that had gradually become incredibly rocky. At the heart of these difficulties was a fundamental disconnect in how the two creators communicated and navigated the shared spaces of their lives. The multi-Grammy-winning musician, known throughout the industry for his meticulous attention to detail and his uncompromising artistic vision, reportedly brought that same intensity into his personal relationships. He was described by insiders as an individual who could be incredibly particular about how things were done, often operating under the firm belief that his methods and perspectives were inherently correct. While this relentless drive for perfection was the very quality that made him a legendary figure in the recording studio, It created an increasingly difficult dynamic within the sacred confines of his marriage. His wife, an exceptionally talented and acclaimed actress in her own right, found herself facing a growing emotional landscape where her own perspective and voice felt increasingly minimized. She frequently felt that her unique outlook on their shared life was not being given the same weight or consideration as his, leading to a profound sense of isolation within the partnership. The communication between them, which had once been a source of vibrant creative sparks, steadily degenerated into a significant hurdle that neither party seemed fully equipped to overcome. This subtle erosion of mutual understanding did not happen overnight, but was rather the result of hundreds of tiny, unaddressed moments where two strong-willed people found themselves pulling in entirely different directions. To the outside world, their final major public appearance together at the prestigious Grammy Awards earlier that year had seemed like a celebration of their continued success, but insiders knew it was actually the final, fragile curtain call for their public partnership. By the time they stood before the flashing cameras on that cold February night, the emotional distance between them had already grown into a vast, unbridgeable chasm. In the weeks and months that followed that final joint appearance, the digital breadcrumbs left by the couple began to tell a story of deliberate, quiet untangling. For a modern audience that watches celebrity movements with analytical precision, these digital shifts are the ultimate confirmation of a fractured reality. The actress made a highly symbolic move on her public social media platform, changing her unique handle from a title that directly referenced one of her husband's most romantic and celebrated songs to her own birth name. This was not a casual aesthetic choice, but a profound public declaration of independence, a literal rewriting of her identity away from the musical universe he had constructed around her. Simultaneously, the musician's celebrated indie pop band made a shocking and highly coordinated change to the setlist of their massive global tour, completely removing a beloved track that had been explicitly written for and named after his wife. For fans who had watched him perform that song night after night as a sonic love letter, its sudden, permanent absence from the show was a heartbreakingly clear sign that the love story which inspired it had reached its definitive end. The tension grew even thicker as the media apparatus began to spin into overdrive, with various outlets scrambling to uncover the exact reasons behind the sudden collapse of such a high-profile marriage. In the absence of immediate official statements, the vacuum was quickly filled with wild rumors, intense speculation, and allegations of external drama that threatened to overshadow the genuine human pain at the center of the story. The public narrative began to fracture into multiple competing theories, with some suggesting sudden betrayals and others pointing to the irreconcilable differences of two massive Hollywood egos. Yet, amidst the mounting pressure and the sensationalized headlines, the true nature of their separation began to reveal itself as something far more complex and deeply bittersweet. It was a situation where the love had not necessarily vanished, but where the daily reality of maintaining a shared life had simply become too heavy a burden to bear. The tragedy of their situation lay in the fact that despite their immense love and deep artistic respect for one another, the practical mechanics of their relationship had broken down completely, leaving them with no choice but to confront the painful reality that their paths were meant to diverge. As the news of their definitive split finally broke to the world, the sheer weight of public scrutiny intensified to an almost unbearable degree, putting their commitment to handling the separation with dignity to the ultimate test. Every past interview, every lyric he had written, and every role she had taken on was suddenly re-examined through the tragic lens of their failed marriage. The narrative of their love story, which had once been celebrated as a shining example of modern romance, was rapidly being deconstructed by a global audience eager for details and drama. Yet, even as the storm of media coverage raged around them, those who knew the couple best began to hint at a deeper, much more mature truth regarding how they were choosing to navigate this devastating transition, setting the stage for a final understanding of a relationship that, while broken, refused to descend into petty Hollywood warfare. In the immediate aftermath of a high-profile separation, the public sphere is almost inevitably flooded with a chaotic wave of speculation, wild theories, and unsubstantiated allegations that threaten to distort the true nature of a deeply personal transition. In the case of this celebrated actress and her brilliant musical partner, the rumor mill quickly went into overdrive, spinning narratives of dramatic betrayals and malicious infidelities that captured the attention of sensationalist tabloids worldwide. However, Those who possess a genuine understanding of the couple's inner circle have moved quickly to dismantle these damaging fabrications, offering a far more grounded and compassionate perspective on the reality of the situation. Reliable sources close to the estranged couple have explicitly confirmed that the rampant rumors regarding alleged infidelity or hidden scandals are entirely false, serving as nothing more than empty noise in a world that often demands a clear villain in every love story. The truth of their parting is both simpler and infinitely more profound, rooted in the mature and heartbreaking realization that two people can possess a deep, abiding affection for one another and yet find themselves unable to sustain a shared life. They are currently navigating the incredibly complex emotional landscape of their separation in the absolute best way that they possibly can, leaning heavily on a foundation of mutual love, kindness, and deep-seated respect that has defined their relationship from its very inception. They are actively figuring out the logistics of this major life transition together as a unified front, proving that the end of a marriage does not inherently require the destruction of the profound bond they spent years building. Sometimes, despite the best intentions, the immense effort, and the genuine devotion of both partners, certain relationships simply do not work out in the long run. And it is a testament to their maturity that they recognize this reality without allowing their shared history to be poisoned by unnecessary drama or public animosity, to truly appreciate the depth of this story and why its conclusion resonates so deeply across the cultural landscape. One must look closely at the remarkable individual journeys of the two protagonists who tried so hard to interweave their destinies. The actress brought to the relationship an extraordinary creative lineage and a fiercely independent artistic spirit that has made her one of the most compelling and respected talents of her generation. Growing up under the unique influence of a family deeply entrenched in the cinematic arts, she carved out her own distinct path through a dedicated commitment to raw, emotionally authentic performances that refused to rely on the safety of conventional Hollywood archetypes. Her transition from a rigorous background in classical dance to the demanding world of dramatic acting allowed her to bring an incredible physical and emotional precision to her roles, capturing the hearts of critics and audiences alike in groundbreaking projects that explored the deepest vulnerabilities of the human condition. Her work was characterized by an uncompromising honesty, a quality that she also brought into her personal life and her expectations for a true partnership. Throughout her rapid ascent in the entertainment industry, she remained a figure dedicated to ensuring her voice and her unique perspective were fully realized, a trait that made her a formidable and deeply inspiring individual both on and off the screen. When she entered into the marriage, she did so not as a passive participant in a celebrity union, but as a fully realized artistic force seeking a true peer who could understand the immense weight and beauty of a life dedicated to creative expression. On the other side of this profound partnership stood a musical visionary whose impact on the Sony landscape of the modern era is almost impossible to overstate. Rising from the gritty, passionate world of the indie rock circuit, he gradually transformed himself into one of the premier masterminds of contemporary pop music. A sonic architect whose distinct production style has shaped the defining anthems of the decade. His journey was fueled by a relentless, almost obsessive dedication to the craft of songwriting and sonic experimentation, a quality that earned him an incredible array of consecutive Grammy Awards and the fierce loyalty of some of the biggest musical icons on the planet. In the recording studio, his meticulously particular nature was his greatest asset, allowing him to pull hidden depths of emotion out of artists and arrange complex melodies into unforgettable cultural touchstones. He moved through the world with the intense energy of a creator who constantly hears music in the silence, an individual whose life was completely consumed by the pursuit of artistic perfection. This intense focus, while resulting in an unparalleled professional legacy, naturally created a complex personal environment. As the boundaries between his consuming passion for music and the delicate needs of a domestic partnership were often blurred. His journey was one of constant creation, a relentless drive to leave an indelible mark on the history of sound, making him a fascinating but undeniably challenging partner for anyone seeking to build a traditional, quiet life away from the roar of the cultural spotlight. The collision of these two extraordinary trajectories created a brief, beautiful moment in cultural history where music and cinema seemed to merge into a singular, harmonious narrative. The marriage mattered so much to the public because it represented the ultimate idealized fusion of two distinct creative worlds, a proof of concept that two immense talents could find a safe harbor in each other's brilliance. When a bond of that magnitude begins to dissolve, it serves as a powerful and sobering reminder of the universal challenges that underlie all human relationships regardless of wealth, fame, or artistic genius. The dissolution of their marriage underscores the timeless truth that love alone is sometimes not enough to bridge the gap between two highly specific individual identities and the demanding realities of separate, world-consuming careers. It highlights the immense difficulty of maintaining a shared domestic harmony when both individuals are constantly pulled toward separate creative horizons, requiring an intensity of focus that leaves little room for the daily compromises necessary to sustain a lifelong union. This separation is not a story of failure, but rather a poignant exploration of human growth. A narrative about two people who loved each other enough to realize, when their shared path was no longer serving the evolution of their individual spirits, as this definitive chapter of their lives draws to its natural conclusion. Both the actress and the musician are looking toward the future, with a renewed focus on their respective crafts, using the raw emotion of this transition to fuel their next artistic endeavors. The silver screen and the recording studio will undoubtedly become the sanctuaries where they process the grief, the beauty, and the profound lessons of their time together, transforming personal heartbreak into universal art for the world to experience. Their separate journeys will continue to unfold under the watchful eye of a global audience, but they do so now with a quiet dignity that sets a powerful example for how to navigate the end of a high-profile romance. The story of their marriage, while brief in the grand tapestry of time, remains a beautiful testament to a moment when two incredibly bright stars aligned, leaving behind a legacy of love, mutual respect, and a collection of art that will forever echo with the memory of what they once shared.